Tina, to get Manchin's vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which was the severely whittled down Build Back Better plan, basically throwing at the planetary inferno a bunch of tax credits. How's that working out for you in hot LA? To get Manchin to say yes, they essentially struck a side deal at, quote, permitting reform. And boy, I didn't read the whole bill, but just a few pages. That permitting reform is essentially giving the keys to the kingdom to the fossil fuckers.
Well, I'm pretty sure that they probably wrote this bill. In fact, I can't recall whose logo was emblazoned on the leaked draft, but David Sirota reported on this. Some oil lobbyist firm's logo was right on there.
Absolutely. So I want to, there's a lot in this bill. There's big picture stuff, which we'll get into, but I want to get to one specific item because Manchin has been pushing for the Mountain Valley Pipeline in Virginia and West Virginia. It's basically been stuck in the courts, been blocked. A lot of climate activists in Virginia and West Virginia have been fighting this thing for years. The first story we covered on the ground for Status Coup was the Mountain Valley Pipeline. It's a natural gas pipeline that essentially is going through the steepest slopes in America. If and when it explodes, it could kill a lot of people, which we have a clip we'll show in a minute. It's totally unnecessary. There's not like a demand for more natural gas. It's just a boondoggle for Dominion Energy, which owns Virginia and Virginia's politicians. And Manchin wants it because his donors want it. So this bill, I've actually never seen anything like it. So I'm just going to read the language because it's really something. Now, page 87, Colin, if we could go to the bottom. The biological opinion and incidental take statement. Notwithstanding any other provision of law, not later than 30 days after the date of enactment of this act, the Secretary of the Interior shall issue a biological opinion and incidental take statement for the Mountain Valley Pipeline, substantially in the form of the biological opinion and incidental take statement for the Mountain Valley Pipeline issued by the United States Fish and Wildlife Service on September 4th, 2020. Essentially, this bill is telling the Interior Department to copy the pro-Mountain Valley Pipeline statement that the United States Fish and Wildlife Service came out with in September of 2020. Now, the language, it's a bill. It might be a little boring, but we'll get to the good parts here. Notwithstanding any other provision of law, not later than 30 days after the date of this act, the date of enactment of this act, and again, this is the bill for the, quote, permitting reform. That Manchin wrote, i.e., whoever his fossil fuel donors wrote.
Exactly.
The Secretary of the Interior shall issue all rights of way, permits, leases, and other authorizations that are necessary for the construction, operation, and maintenance of the Mountain Valley Pipeline, substantially in the form approved in the record of decision of the Bureau of Land Management entitled Mountain Valley Pipeline and Equitron's Expansion Project Decision to grant right-of-way and temporary use permit and dated January 14th, 2021. So again, this bill is telling the Interior Department to issue or approve permits, all right-of-way permits, leases for this project, copying a prior decision. Now, an activist sent me this. Colin, I sent you this before the live stream. Tina, permit after permit after permit after permit has been denied for this pipeline because it's so dangerous. It's going through the steepest slopes in America. It jeopardizes water in the Appalachian Trail, wildlife. I mean, you name it, it jeopardizes it. And by the way, smash that like button. 100 people watching, we need more. Press that like button, share this live stream. So let me just go down the list, if you have this, Colin, of permits that have been rejected.
Oh, yeah. It's extensive.
Permits to cross Jefferson National Forest from the National Forest Service and the Bureau of Bureau of Land Management, vacated by the Fourth Circuit of Appeals on January 25th, 2022, and not yet reissued. Fish and Wildlife Service biological opinion and incidental take statement required under the Endangered Species Act, vacated by the Fourth Circuit on February 3rd, 2022, and not yet reissued. Army Corps of Engineers Clean Water Act. By the way, the Army Corps approves every fucking permit. Vacated by the Fourth Circuit and not yet reissued. After the Fourth Circuit vacated the FWS permits in February 2022, the Army Corps announced it would not proceed with these permits, which are required for more than 400 water crossings and wetlands left to be constructed along the route, until there was a valid biological opinion and incidental take statement. Virginia State permit for Lambert Compressor Station for MVP Southgate, denied in December 2021. North Carolina Clean Water Act, Section 401, because it goes through North Carolina too, denied twice by the North Carolina Department of Environmental Protection. Virginia Clean Water Act, Section 401 permit, issued by the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality several years ago when MVP was relying on Nationwide Permit 12 for all water crossings, then lost by MVP when Nationwide Permit 12 was vacated by litigation for another project. West Virginia Clean Water Act 401, issued by West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection, which isn't such a thing because they don't give a fuck about the environment there, vacated by the Fourth Circuit. And the Federal Energy Regulatory Certificate, FERC, which approves everything, issued in 2017 for 3 years, extended in 2020 through October 1st, 2022, then extended from 2022 to 2026. DC Circuit Court upheld 2008 certificate. DC Circuit heard oral arguments on challenge to 2020 extension, and we are awaiting decision. So you get a pattern here. Like there's 5 out of 6 permits were denied.
And you know, if you read all of this, you see all of this, and Manchin and Schumer have somehow come to the conclusion that it's the Fourth Circuit Court that is the problem and not the pipeline.
Right. But literally, you have to understand, most of these agencies are rubber stamps for all permitting.
Exactly.
All permitting.
So the fact that they're not that should tell them something. There's something very seriously bad and wrong about this pipeline.
Right. Absolutely. So in the bill, going back to the bill, basically this language just does away with all that.
It does.
Reverses the rejections, and magically, as if Trump just thought it into existence, the bill gives right-of-way permits for all these permits that had been rejected. And by the way, through years of activists on the ground fighting to get these permits rejected. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, moving down page 89. Let me find it. Oh no, bottom of page 90. In general, the actions of the secretaries concerned and the commission pursuant to subsection D that are necessary for the construction and initial operation at full capacity of the Mountain Valley Pipeline shall not be subject to judicial review, meaning no court challenges to any of this. Other actions, the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit shall have original and exclusive jurisdiction over any claim alleging the invalidity of this section, or that an action is beyond the scope of authority conferred by this section, and any claim relating to any action taken by a secretary concerned to the commission relating to the Mountain Valley Pipeline other than an action described in paragraph. In English, we are overruling all these courts' denials for permits of this dangerous pipeline. We're going to fast track it, rubber stamp it. So much for Biden, Schumer, Pelosi's, the climate, existential crisis, climate change. And we're going to rig the court so this can't be delayed any further with court challenges. Let me tell you something, Tina. I have a feeling if Donald Trump, when he was president, had permits denied for his wall, and then, I don't know, through a bill or whatever, a bill came out basically overruling rejected permits and saying you can't challenge it into court. How quickly do you think Rachel Maddow would have fire coming out of her ears? And
very quickly.
CNN and MSNBC. But Biden and the pro-environment folks don't give a damn. And just to humanize this, Tina, for Status Coup viewers who have seen it, you'll bear with me to play it again. This pipeline, they're essentially creating a sacrifice zone in Virginia and West Virginia. This is a clip from 2018. I had more hair. I was a little thinner. I interviewed a mother and a daughter who literally protested at the top of their trees for a month. Right. They blocked the fossil fuel company from cutting down their tree by climbing up it and staying up there for a month. Listen, the risks of this pipeline.
Yes, they do leak. They do explode. And the newer ones do it more frequently than the older ones. And there's a company with a horrific track record. They're the ones putting it in, and they've never put it in such steep and dangerous terrain. They've got a terrible track record, and it's the largest pipeline they've ever put in. It's going to be awful. There's no way nothing cannot go wrong. Right.
And one of the FERC commissioners, again, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, I was a 2-to-1 vote, basically, to give them eminent domain. One of the FERC commissioners...
For an organization that's supposed to have 5 members.
So 2 seats are vacant. But one of the commissioners was pointing out they've never seen a pipeline on this scale, in this kind of land, the steep terrain. Also, when you're talking about pipelines going under this kind of land, if there's an explosion, the blast radius could be potentially
2.5 miles.
Everything will be dead in 2.5 miles. And that's all but my son. And if he's visiting, that wipes us out. I mean, my sister-in-laws both live in town, and my brother-in-law's up here, some and some not. So that will wipe out the 7th generation of Terrys, pretty much. 2.5 mile, that's all my friends, all my neighbors, and all my family gone. And the firefighters up here said, Red, there's nothing we can do. It'll take them a while to turn the gas off, so it'll be fueled by the gas. And he said, there's no way we can fight it on this steep terrain.
I mean, it's just obscene. The good news, it looks like because of Republican vengeance, this bill is not going to go through. Colin, if we could show the tweet from Manu Raju. Top Republicans indicate that Manchin's energy permitting plan won't have the votes in the Senate to be included in the continuing resolution, which is the government funding bill. Quote, between Republicans who are not inclined to help Manchin out of a bind and Democrats who are going to vote no, it doesn't stand a chance. That's Senator John Cornyn, said. So technically, it doesn't look like it's going to happen, but that doesn't mean...
He would need, I think, 20 Republicans in order for this to happen. I don't think they've got those votes. I don't think it's going to happen. But even the fact that it even made it this far, and he had his Energy Independence and Security Act kind of circulating on Tuesday night to Wednesday. It's just, my hair's on fire, Jordan, because it goes beyond just the Mountain Valley Pipeline. They want to basically fast track all kinds of new projects this way. This was not possible before. There was it was Obama's fast track thing that he put into place. And previously there had only been one project where that was used. I think it's Fast 51 is what it was called. But under this, it would make all of these new projects eligible for fast tracking. So it would extend far beyond just this. It's absolutely horrific that Schumer would agree with this. I expect Manchin to do something like this. He is owned by fossil fuel industry. Schumer's right on his tail, though. Let's be clear. He's taken a lot of corporate money from fossil fuel industry. That's absolutely a fact of the matter. So I guess that's where he's coming from right now. But it's inconceivable to me that they would be willing to, change the fast track process, circumvent the courts, move the court. They don't want the Fourth Circuit to rule on it. They want to move it to a more friendly court, which is just corrupt. There's so many things wrong here.
The fact that, and I'm not trying to toot our own horn here, how many people even know that this was the condition to get Manchin's vote for the his yes vote for the Inflation Reduction Act? How many people know that watching CNN or MSNBC, or certainly not Fox News, reading the New York Times, the Washington Post? How many people know what is the Mountain Valley Pipeline? How many people were informed the dangers of the Mountain Valley Pipeline? How many journalists spoke with activists on the ground, see what they think about these people being a sacrifice zone? I mean, it's incredible. They want to cover the horse race, but then when the deal struck, oh, Biden's brilliant. You know, he ultimately got Manchin to bend and this and that. Oh, we don't need to get into the details that they're going to fucking put this ticking time bomb underneath residents of West Virginia, Virginia. By the way, the Appalachian Trail is some of the most beautiful, pristine forest, water we have in the country. You have this pipeline going up, steep slopes. It definitely affects, I'm not an earth scientist here, but the topography, it moves the earth there. It's absolutely insane. Thanks for watching, and make sure to tune in to Status Coup's daily live stream Monday through Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time and Fridays at 4 o'clock Eastern Time.